What's up, DC Nation? Back to another pretty much review, a comic review, and today this is actually an interesting one, right? This is actually not a comic from DC Comics or Marvel Comics. It's actually from one of you guys. So one of you guys, subscribers, you actually sent me a comic, like you actually sent me an email. You're like, hey, can you review this? Check it out. And I said, yeah, I'll check it out. And guys, this is actually, it's not DC. It's actually more Marvel territory. It's actually called SheDevil, pretty much daughter of Daredevil, and you're probably like, well, this is a DC channel. I'm like, no, but if it's from you guys, I'll review it, check it out, give my critiques and stuff I like too. And this is a pretty solid comic book. Like, I actually expected when one of you guys or somebody who hasn't been in the comic industry for a while, like Rain Comics, like a lot of us think that, okay, we can read a comic book, then write one easy, right? It's not that easy, and we've seen that from other writers in pretty much DC Comics or Marvel Comics. But this one I was surprised at. Like, it was an amazing comic, but it was decent. I actually liked it. It was pretty good. Now, jumping into this, we actually pretty much, it's SheDevil, daughter of Daredevil, and she's actually an interesting character, right? And the whole thing of this is her parents were Matt Murdock, Daredevil obviously, and Black Widow. Now, this is interesting that they pretty much, one of you guys, the writer, actually put them together as a couple and they had a baby. The main character, she has the same senses as Daredevil. She knows how to fight. She's trained by Black Widow, so you don't want to go against her in a fight. But how this issue opens up, you see her show up, she takes down some guys, she's pretty much protecting the city in New York, which is like Hell's Kitchen. It's pretty much like Hell's Kitchen. And though this whole fight actually looks pretty good, the art's pretty solid, but the only critique I have with this fight is that the backgrounds can be a little better, because it's more just like a brown background. Like, you see cool visuals of SheDevil like hitting across the face against this guy. You see her punch guys, it actually looks pretty cool, but the whole background kind of is like, there's nothing interesting looking in the background. It was easier to read and easier to pretty much like go through the fight. But usually when I want to see a fight, I like to see a little more better background, right? For the background, just add a little more texture or add something in the background, right? Like, I get there's like a wall behind, but maybe add like a desk. Add something that pretty much SheDevil can use to fight off against the guy. Like, you got a chair somewhere, you have something else, or just make the background more interesting. Because even in other comics, in DC Comics, or even Marvel Comics too, in certain action sequences, they're made better by their backgrounds. Because you're kind of like, alright, that's cool, the main character punched a guy, or did a cool flip, but the background, maybe it's in like a place, in like a warehouse, but you see the different textures in the background, certain stuff in the backgrounds, that just makes the fight more interesting for me, alright? I like that better. But it was still a good fight, and that's just something to add to it. Make the backgrounds more better instead of just like a flat brown background, right? But guys, next what we see is she goes back, we find out where she's pretty much hiding out, where she has her suit, and she pretty much explains to the reader who she is. And what we find out is pretty much Matt Murdock, Daredevil, he's dead. Also Black Widow. And Black Widow, they came together, they fought crime. It goes through the whole thing of her origin, this main character. And you see Black Widow, she actually went on a mission one day, didn't come back. Matt Murdock, he pretty much broke down. And actually before that, this issue actually shows like Matt Murdock and Black Widow actually teaching our main character. And she actually gets taught boxing by Matt Murdock, which I actually really liked. That was cool. That's a big part of this character with his father and stuff, so I like how that was incorporated in. Me personally, you guys know I'm more of a DC fan, not a Marvel fan, but I do like Daredevil a lot. If there's any character out of Marvel Comics that's one of the best for me, is Daredevil. I really like him. But guys, you see him teach boxing, you see Black Widow teach the regular martial arts, obviously, like she's good at martial arts. But Black Widow doesn't make it back from a mission, right? She's a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Matt actually helps his daughter out in certain stuff, train her, helping her out. But one day, Kingpin, Daredevil's main villain, came in, and Daredevil actually beat him. But then there's Bullseye, and Bullseye actually kills Daredevil. Now that's really interesting to have Bullseye kill Daredevil. I'm guessing Bullseye will be a big villain in the series, because we find out that he hasn't died. So maybe SheDevil will go against him. That'd be really cool. But seeing this, Daredevil actually killed, and she's actually crying about it, and then pretty much she's helped out by Foggy Nelson. And if you guys know Foggy from pretty much the Daredevil show, he's an awesome character. I really like him. And seeing him as pretty much take up like the uncle role for our main character is really interesting, right? I really like that. But he takes up the uncle role, and he's pretty much like saying this up, like, hey, Daredevil or Matt is gonna die one day. When you're a hero and doing all this dangerous stuff, there's one day that your luck will run out, or you'll not plan for something, you'll die. And that's what happened at Matt. Pretty much Bullseye killed him. But you see pretty much Foggy Nelson help out our main character, go through college, go through school, help her out, pretty much get a job. She actually works for him now, and it's really cool. Now, the only problem I have with this whole origin story, like, I like the origin, but how it's explained this issue is a little worrying, right? Like, there's a lot of explaining to do. Like, I'm one of the people when I read, I like to more show it, not tell it. I'm fine with certain stuff being told, like pretty much stuff about Black Widow and Daredevil teaming up and all that. But it comes to a point that it's a lot of pages of just reading, going through like the origin, and I think that will be a problem next issue. Like, I really get that you have to get the origin done with to explain this character, but I wish like the words would have been a little less. Alright, there's certain moments I was like, alright, that could have been cut down a little bit. Like when pretty much she's explaining about going to college and stuff. Some that could have been cut out because it's not as important. For me at least. I'm like, alright, I know she'd go to college and stuff. What I want to know more about is her relationship with Foggy, right? And it looks like we're going to get that, right? At the end of the issue, she shows up to work and you see her pretty much hug Foggy. So maybe we'll see more of that next issue. But back to the whole wordy thing, it'd be a little too much to read. Like, I'm fine with there being a lot of words in a comic. But sometimes when something is explained a little too detailed, it's like, alright, let's get to the next thing, get it going a little bit. Because it slows down the momentum of the comic. And one big point in this issue is when pretty much our main character, she shows up to meet with Foggy. It's at the end of the issue. I think it's actually like the final 2 or 3 pages. And you see her pretty much look out the city, and you see these big context bubbles pretty much of words. And it says, oh, Daredevil, Black Widow, they love the city, all protected now. And that's pretty much what it's trying to say, but it's explained through all these words. And it was kind of hard to read at the end. Now, it was made better when Foggy showed up. I got excited with that. I was like, alright, I want to see more Foggy, but then the issue ended. Now, that won't be a problem next issue, I'm guessing, because pretty much you got the origin out of the way. You got a lot of like pretty much the context out of the way, so now we can get into more action. As the cover shows, the next issue, maybe she'll be actually fighting against the Hand, which the Hand is actually a big villain against Daredevil. It's actually a big villain in the Marvel Netflix shows. But I want to get more action, and I'm fine with context and stuff, but just try to have a little less words, because it makes it a little hard to read. But overall, this issue was pretty solid, first issue. I expected a little worse, because sometimes the first issue, it's hard to get into a series, but it's a little interesting, right? I like Daredevil, I'm a big fan of Daredevil, so I like that. And SheDevil is an interesting concept, and it'd be really cool if she goes against Bullseye. I really like Bullseye, so if Bullseye's added to the series, that would really bump it up, alright? Because the series is solid right now, it's kind of just decent, it's nothing great, but you added big Daredevil villains, it can make it really awesome. But guys, overall, I'm going to give this issue a 7 out of 10. It's decent, it's passable, but with the whole origin, all the worry balloons, that kind of drags it down, and also make the backgrounds and the action sequences a little better. But the story itself and the concept of SheDevil, it's a really interesting concept, and I want to see it pretty much explained further in future issues. But guys, in the comments below, tell me what you think about the story. What do you think about the concept of pretty much the daughter of Daredevil fighting off villains in Hell's Kitchen? And what do you think about Black Widow and Daredevil actually being a couple? I like to know you guys' thoughts. I know it's a DC channel, but this is technically not a Marvel comic. It's a comic from one of you guys. And guys, if any other of you want me to review a comic, I would happily do that, right? Because I just like reading comics. I like to know you guys' whole perspective of these characters. Like, I can see by one of you guys who wrote this comic that you're a big fan of Daredevil, you're a big fan of Black Widow, and you have an interesting concept here with SheDevil. I'm looking forward to reading the next issue. Like this video, give a big thumbs up on your channel, make subscribe to my next comic book review. But guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.